Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't even fit the male gaze, so they don't think that like I could even be assaulted. They're just like, oh, that's a dyke woman. Like that's how they see me. And they're like, who would want to have sex with that? But like, check my DMs.
So let's squeeze this in really quickly, y'all. Because I got one more thing.
Oh no, we got plenty of time. Make sure I paid extra for a long episode today. Don't worry. Daddy's got you.
Do we have time?
Oh, we got hella time. Listen, keep it going, keep it flowing. I like the conversation.
I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all have to forgive me today because I'm so anxious to do this.
No,
I've been studying, practicing because it's time to hear my side of the story.
Yeah.
So let's just play this last clip from Miss Ekbunambi.
Oh.
Do not interrupt a black
I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
No, thank you.
You made
Here's the thing. I would never interrupt a black woman.
Think about me as a black
That is your trademark. I love it.
I am not a threat. It is. They hate it. It is harmful that you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Weaponizing facts.
Transgenderism does not exist. We as trans people exist. We are 1% of the population. And there is a lot of power in the trans identity because you are sitting here spewing something to me that doesn't really exist.
I'm not spewing anything. I'm just stating facts plainly.
I have lived experience. You don't. And you never will. But
I mean, I would.
Okay, we really got off the topic.
Okay, this is what we... Did I push the same button again?
You might have pushed the same
by
one.
transgender identifying individuals.
You're supposed to hit
Lawson
3.
says that's not true. In fact, it is.
Oh, it is 3.
Who are raping these women.
Okay.
Now, you can go through a litany of stories of transgender identifying individuals assaulting women and young girls. J.K. Rowling has done extensive work on this topic. You can check out her X feed if you want to find story after story.
Fictional writer.
Channel different stories of transgender identifying individuals attacking women and men.
Who writes
If you
about
want
wands is your
story,
point of reference.
just right now by going on Google, type in the name Hannah Tubbs.
Pretty much just stole Star Wars with
a male
wands.
who assaulted a young girl, a little girl, sexually assaulted that little girl. Went on to identify as transgender, has the whole name changed to Hannah. So we can substantiate these claims. Now, Blossom is going to make the argument that there are cis men who are weaponizing the trans identity in order to assault women. And I in no way deny that that is a fact, that there are men
we may actually agree on.
Oh, look at that. You actually...
One thing...
You convinced her. Look, she's changing. Watch, she's going to be on the podcast and we're all going to be hugging once. It's in the future.
Again.
Between a cis man and a transgender woman.
Even Blair White, she's going to come to the podcast too. Watch.
What the difference is between those two individuals, and you can't give me a difference because
let's pause it. I do.
If you've gone through the medical
let's
processes.
Stop it.
Here, I got
That's where I wanted to do that at. Yeah. No, so I actually can appreciate Amala for saying this. You know, there are many differences between trans women and cisgender men. One really has to do with gender identity, and let's be very clear: cis men do not have a gender identity problem. With trans women, there is an incongruency of some sort. Yeah. And so trans women, depending on what that looks like, transition off of that. Now, some trans women transition physically. Some just do it emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Like there are so many different ways of doing that. And we have to remember the transgender community is on a spectrum. There's so many different things. And I find it crazy that you would even ask me that, Amala, when you're a debater yourself and you can't even look up that information. There are so many reputable resources, which I'm actually going to give you some, that talks about gender identity. One reputable resource, in my humble opinion, is the 2012 book, Introduction to Behavioral Science and Medicine, that says that with exceptions, gender identity develops surprisingly rapidly in early childhood years, and in the majority of instances appear to become at least partially irreversible by the age of 3 and 4.
Drop the fact.
Even the National Public
Fact Check
Institute of Health talks about gender identity. And so there's a lot of reputable resources for gender identity. And I think what you try to do is you want to try to look at things from a practical point of view. All y'all want to talk about is biological sex. But let's also talk about the women, because I think because we didn't watch the whole video, and I kind of wish we did. I love you to death. But Amala talked about when you were doing this part or whatnot, they were talking about Michael Knowles saying, oh, you can tell a trans woman when you see one. Oh. Absolutely not. That's not necessarily true, because
that's why Ben Shapiro said, bro.
And here's the thing. Some cis women like Amala can experience transphobia the same way we can, because when we talk about genetics, I've talked about this on Piers Morgan. Everybody act like they don't want to hear me. There are some cis women who naturally have higher testosterone levels like her, who had to experience that transphobia. And we're seeing videos of cis women being accused of being trans in the bathroom,
transvestigated,
being attacked and harassed because of what Amala and Michael Knowles and Blair White and Buck Angel
on the internet.
are pushing on the internet.
Yeah.
In our humble opinion, like cis women are being highly affected by that.
Yeah,
and followed by men, security, like following them into the women's restroom.
Conversations are cumulative, and that's the thing that these folks don't quite understand is that they're creating the narrative on the internet, and it's like we as a human society. Conversations are 100% cumulative. So if we're all having this conversation and there's a bunch of people that are creating this narrative, of course it's going to start creating this idea. It's like, I see a red car. You're going to start always seeing a red car if you're always looking for a red car. It's that whole theory. And it's like, you're perpetuating that to then create a narrative about trans people while the percentage of trans people to even exist is still 1%. Meanwhile, you have an entire huge system set up for all of these other people to cause abuse, and you're just silent on it. And if anything, you find ways to co-sign it in ways and be like, oh, again, not so bad, not so hard, or I can see how that happened, or this, that, and the other. But you don't have that grace for trans people.
Check out the loophole. I'm gonna tell you what Amala and them are doing. They're trying to take trans people who don't transition physically, but more socially, mentally, and other things, and trying to stick cis men raping people and all of a sudden identifying as trans afterwards into that and trying to make a talking point. I've heard it with Michael Knowles. I've heard it with Blair. And I'm like, okay, so I'm catching the loopholes now. I'm catching what y'all are trying to do. And that's not okay. A lot of these cis men are doing it just because they're despicable and disgusting. Yeah. But it's not coming from trans women. No. Trans women are an identity. And this whole thing around transgenderism being an ideology. How are we an ideology when we're sitting right here in front of you? Yeah. That makes no sense. And Michael and Amala are too dumb, in my opinion, to see it.
In my debate too, I was trying to.
Yes, you were.
Like, hello, like I have lived experience. I'm sitting in front of you as a trans woman. Mm-hmm. I have that experience. You cannot sit here and tell me that it's just an ideology. And if you plan on removing that ideology out of the woman, what happens to the woman?
Yeah.
And what does he think?
And here's the thing, Amala and Michael,
you're just going to disappear.
They play off of trans issues. They play off of making content and debates on trans issues that they don't even exist. I'm sorry, issues that they don't even live. They do not live these experiences. And Amala grifts off trans issues all the time. And I'm going to check you because we need to really talk about this whole thing with me appearing on the podcast with Buck Angel. This is the part I've never addressed in 2 years. Now, as y'all know,
get the tea. It's hot.
Let's get ready. Yeah. So my first Jubilee debate was called Trans Women versus Conservative Women. That's where I met Amala and I've met other people there. And so a lot was edited out, but me and Amala were the ones going back and forth. Like, I have to admit, like in that debate, I thought she was really good. You know what I mean? To keep up with me, I thought we were just having, we were sparring pretty well. And she worked at this particular platform, which we will not name, or whatnot. And so, because I didn't know who she was. And so in that video, I asked, do you have any resources? Because she was talking about bone density and she tried to reverse the question back to me. She was like, do you know the amount of bone density, And I was just like, no, I don't, because I'm not going to listen to that because it's not real and it's not true. Because everybody has different body chemistry.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And you don't know somebody's chromosomal count, somebody's bone density level, the size of somebody's heart and lungs.
Yeah, my feet are bigger than Blossom's, actually.
Yeah, they
I'm a size 14 in men's. And she's damn.
But conservatives play off of that talking point, and they've tried to make it into something. And so that was that. Now, Amala, at the end of that episode, asked me verbally if I would come on her podcast with other trans women. I thought it was okay because we had just debated with other trans women. And I want y'all to understand something. This was my first debate. That debate that we're talking about was my first debate. Technically, this was my second debate, but I don't include this in my count of debates. And so I came there. And so I was like, let me just be open, honest. We had a good conversation on set. Me and the ladies got along. Why not? So a couple of days before, Amala sends me a text message saying that Buck was going to be on there. Now, for me, I got upset because I was just like, these aren't the trans women that you verbally told me. However, this is what she keeps villainizing me for and criminalizing me for. I did say, okay, I'm still going to come. even though it was not originally what she said, and you have to remember, I'm a new debater at this time.
Yeah.
I wanted to be kind. I wanted to be nice. I said, okay. But that still does not take away from the fact that you told me verbally that it was going to be other women, trans women on your podcast. And Amala, you said it. You said it verbally to me. So while you're lying to your base, why don't you actually tell them the truth? It does not take away, the text message about Buck does not take away from what you told me verbally about it. So we get to the podcast. And I was greeted okay. She was bootlicking the Buck Angel. They were worshiping Buck Angel like nobody's business. Yeah. But that was my first time meeting him. And ironically, me and Buck were great on set. We did not argue. It wasn't no snootiness or whatever. So for us to kind of be mortal enemies after it is what it is, because
he went
he's
behind
two-faced.
your back. Yeah, exactly.
He's very two-faced.
What did he do?
Oh gosh. So it was funny because I didn't catch this till like the debate with Blair that we did. So when we were on set, I did remind him that he called a Black trans woman a monkey.
Yeah, Ashley Mary Preston. Shout out.
Yeah. And so I didn't mention the name there, but he pretty much got canceled after that. But he got
so canceled.
He's like, "What? That is a lie."
No, he came to a protest, and everybody was like, "Why the hell are you here?" And they made him leave because they were. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah. So he's
like
a
in-person
liar.
community, not online, like real life. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a compulsive liar, and being there on that set with Amala, it's funny because Amala made this slick comment about her producer being there by the computer in case she needed to look up anything, because it was a jab at me for telling her where are your sources for what you're saying, because I wanted to look up these sources. Like, I'm a debater, I'm a researcher. If you're going to spew statistics and spew things to me, you should be able to tell me where you're getting it from. Amala never does that. Buck Angel never does that, nor Blair White does that.
Jubilee doesn't even do it. Realize we don't know until it's produced.
I need to know. That's how I found out that Michael Knowles was spewing bullshit to me in a debate. And so we debated. That was that. I am still entitled to my personal experience and my personal feelings. Now, the fact that Amala does not like that and calls it lying, that's on her. And, I want to say something else to Amala, and I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to truly wrap this up.
No, feel free, because she's been coming for you for a few months.
Yeah, because here's the thing. She was on Piers Morgan a while ago, and they were talking about DEI. I think she was on there with Mark Lamont and everything or whatever, and Amala was talking about DEI needs to die. Well, Amala, check this clap back. Weren't you the DEI hire at a certain platform before they Candace Owens your ass?
Damn.
Before they Candace Owens you out, and now you're at home making videos?
Damn.
Making your content from videos? Because you had a producer there, the white guy. Where is he?
Wait, Candace Owens is a verb now?
Yeah. They Candace Owens you there because they wanted to remind you, you are still inferior. You are deemed inferior as a Black person. Yeah. Sometimes she's identified as a mixed person. Other times she's identified as a Black person. And she's entitled to that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. And we talk so much about who was assigned what at birth. Just like Amala cannot help that she has a Black father and a white mother that's assigned to her, trans people cannot help what they were assigned before the incongruency. Yeah. And so this whole thing about biology, again, y'all don't want to talk about genetics. Like y'all don't want to do any of these things. But, and let me also make this clear, she also said this, I think about all of us. She said, no matter how much hormones you take, the surgeries you have, you will never be a woman. Let me check you on that. Let me make it very clear. The amount of hormones and the amount that I do to my body to transition is not a threat to cis women, and it's none of your damn business. I am not out here trying to be a threat to cis women because I want to live my life and transition. I am not out here trying to take up anything from anybody. I'm not trying to take up space from anyone. Cis women deserve a seat at the table as well as trans women. Trans women are a type of women. Trans is adjective, okay? Trans is an adjective, and it describes the type of woman that it is. And so this whole ideology that y'all are trying to spew is crazy to me. All I saw, Amala, in your video was jealousy. I saw a lot of projection. And I feel like you feel threatened by trans women, and that's not on us. That falls on you. I think those braids you had in your hair are screwed in a little too tight to your brain, to be quite honest with you. And I say that with love and respect. I'm going to actually say that with love and respect here, because the thing is, you never talk about anything else. All you want to do is grift the trans issues. You will never be a trans woman. You will never, ever in your entire life be a trans woman or experience what we face. You are in a place of privilege. You are so lucky as a cis woman that you don't have to go through the harassment and the discrimination and the violence that we as trans people go through. It doesn't matter if you're a trans man or a trans woman or a non-binary person. You are in a place of privilege where you can sit behind your little funky camera and say these things about trans people. But the reality of it is, I cleared you in the first debate. I annihilated you and destroyed you in the first debate, in my humble opinion, and you've never been able to get over it. But after this, I'm done with you. I pay you to dust. Dust. And I want you to know that.